If you're PCSing to JBLM, you definitely want to tune into this video. Today, I'm going to talk to you about JBLM, about the surrounding areas, the surrounding cities, places to live, things to consider whenever you're deciding where to live, things to do, and also I'm going to touch on post-military career transition. I have a lot of experience with this, and as you'll see why, so definitely tune in. My name is Javon Simon. I'm a real estate agent here in the Tacoma Washington market. I serve Pierce, King, and Thurston counties, and sometimes even Kitsap. And about 90% of my clients are active duty or veteran military affiliated. I'm a veteran myself, so if you have any questions about anything that I discuss or anything at all, feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text, shoot me an email. I'd love to help out, and I'd be happy to chat with you. I was PCS to JBLM back in 2018, in June of 2018. So I came here in the summer and probably one of the best times of the year. And I absolutely fell in love with it. I had a blast whenever I moved here. And it was the first time that I lived on the West Coast, and something that I'd never experienced before. Whenever I was here at JBLM, I had a lot of good memories and a lot of good things that I fell in love with the city. So the first thing I want to discuss about JBLM are the different cities that you can live, or the different places to consider living. So obviously, the most popular place to live is Tacoma. It's the biggest city in the area, and there are obviously a lot more diverse neighborhoods and options whenever it comes to housing. There are a lot more things to do than other places, but that's not necessarily to say that it's the end-all be-all. Another place that's just outside of base is Lakewood. Lakewood has its pros and cons, just like any other city, and a lot of people do tend to live there. And I think that if you're living in Lakewood or you're looking for a short commute, finding a good place and a good neighborhood in Lakewood could be really awesome for you, especially if you don't want to drive too far, just because of its proximity to base and getting on and off base. So there's another city called DuPont. DuPont is just outside. It's directly outside of base. There are out of main post, so you can actually probably get on and off base in under 10 minutes if you really wanted to. If it's too deep, if you live too far away from base, it could be about 20 minutes, but that's very rare. And most people are around the 10 to 15 minutes mark, but you don't actually have to get on any highway to get from your home in DuPont to on base. Steilacoom is another place very similar to Lakewood. It's a smaller community. It's a little bit more expensive to live there, but if you can afford to live there, then there are some good options there as well. So the other big city in the area is Olympia. Olympia is a pretty popular place. I'd say probably the second. Olympia and Lacey, I lump them together. They're probably the second most popular places to live if you are stationed here in JBLM, just because of the cost of living is a lot lower. Housing prices are lower. They're not cheap, but they're lower than Tacoma and Pierce County. And your dollar stretches just a little bit further. And some people don't like the city life. They want a more suburban feel. They want to be in an area with lower crime and all that kind of stuff. And so if that's something you're looking for, Olympia and Lacey are definitely things to consider. East of base and northeast of base are Spanaway and Puyallup. They're also very and even Graham. They're all very popular cities in similar locations. As you get into Puyallup, it's probably the most expensive of Graham, Puyallup, and Spanaway, especially as you go further north, because you get away from the military population and you get more into people who are commuters, whether it's to Seattle or Tacoma, and people that are working civilian jobs. It becomes a little bit of a lower commute for them. And so that's why, and it's a more convenient place to live as a true suburb. And so that's why it ends up being a little bit more expensive in Puyallup. And so I don't want to get too further into the weeds of things. The other cities I'm just going to mention very quickly are Yelm. It's a place that a lot of people tend to live. Fife is a place. It's a smaller city, smaller community. University Place is a really cool spot to check out as well. It's west of Tacoma. And Gig Harbor is a place. It's not as popular for military, and that's about it. There are a few other places, but I'm not going to get too far into all the geography around JBLM. One thing that I learned whenever I was here, and I honestly just got lucky. I had no idea, but when I came here, I realized that there is traffic here, and traffic in the morning tends to flow north, and in the afternoon it flows south. So a lot of people are driving to Tacoma or to Seattle, and they're driving for work, and they're driving from Seattle or from Tacoma. So in the afternoon. So when I moved here, I lived in Tacoma. Tacoma is north of base. So even though I lived, I can't remember how many miles away, even in the morning, it only took me 20 minutes to get from my front door onto base and into PT every morning. So it's something to consider as well. If you live in Olympia or Lacey, A lot of times you can hit traffic if you have to get on I-5 to get to base. And if you need to get to PT, traffic starts pretty early, and there are other people that are in the same situation as you. So that's something that you really do need to consider. And of course, if you live south, the further south you live, the more traffic you're going to have coming home as well. So if you live north of base, you go against the flow of traffic, so it's a lot easier to commute to and from. If you live south of base, be prepared to sit in traffic, especially whenever there's a holiday or it's a Friday and everybody gets out early. And people tend to get out around the same time. So things can really get backed up on I-5 if you live in a direction that goes with the flow of traffic. So finally, I want to talk about transitioning out of the military. I have found that a lot of people transition out of the military here and they stay. I'd say more than most bases, more than the average base. There are a few other places that, people get out and they stay and they stick around in that area. But other than maybe Colorado Springs or, Fort Stewart, we're in Savannah, Georgia, there aren't too many places that I see people actually staying in that immediate area like I do in JBLM. Not everybody, and that's not always the case because people move for different reasons, but the reason is because there are just so many opportunities here. Obviously, SFL TAP and the different programs that they have and different opportunities in schooling and all those different things for active duty personnel that are transitioning out of active duty. They have a lot of different programs for you to pretty much get gainful employment the second you step out of your uniform. And so if you do it right, you can really do well. If you're an officer or if you're somebody who has your degree or you want to go to school, there are options for that as well. I have plenty of friends who have gotten jobs at Amazon, working in their mergers and acquisitions department, or working at doing account management, or even getting into managing a warehouse. There are so many different jobs, some in tech, in the Port of Tacoma, in the industrial industries, that if you wanted to find a job and find a career that's going to be good paying for you long term, this is a very veteran friendly area for civilians. And once you become a civilian, and so I see a lot of people stay here just for the opportunity alone. So that's it for today's video. I obviously can go on for days about JBLM, the pros and cons of the area, the benefits of staying, the benefits of leaving. So if you have any questions, I'm a real estate agent that's connected with a bunch of people who have stayed, who have come and gone. And I can tell you just from experience and other people's experiences, getting to know people, what your options are, and kind of help you point you in the right direction of, thinking past your time here at JBLM. So again, shoot me an email, give me a call, reach out, DM me on social media, and I'd love to help.